Jeremy, you just shared off camera an interesting two-part campaign where the first message was basically just meant to get the first response, the first reply.
Yep.
And then part two, that follow-up message here, suddenly gets a business response, an actual, this is going to lead somewhere kind of conversation.
Yeah,
Right.
those are some of the campaigns where you're contacting, let's say, like 1,000 people, but you're not quite sure if they are really, really in for the product you're trying to sell. Like, in your case, I think it's, I don't know.
Yeah, so I think what you're going for, Jeremy, and I'm gonna like derail from this idea because it's different than just qualifying. So I think what you're thinking of is, let's say you want to sell a juicer to restaurants that sell juice.
That's a great
right?
example.
You might reach out saying, do you guys
Do you offer juice?
offer organic juice? I mean, granted, it's weird because you could look up their website and see, but you can imagine, do you guys offer organic juice? That message could read like a potential customer going to swing by, even though nobody emails a restaurant. And then part two would be like, okay, well, we just, and then you pitch some blenders or, juices.
There you go. There you go. Obviously, we have a better example that works better, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah. Or, all right, we don't need to get more into it, but imagine this, Jeremy. I had a call this week where when I found out what they were currently doing for outreach, it was a consulting practice. And I asked them if they have been doing outreach a while. And they said, yeah, we've had a messenger on our team for 4 years now. And I was like, a messenger? And they're like, yeah, someone who just like reaches out to people and starts conversations, and they're our messenger. And I was like, I've been doing this 10 years, Jeremy, and I have yet to speak to a company that called this role a messenger. Okay. And so now all of a sudden these two conversations are going to merge where they sent me, by the way, the scripts that the messenger used to engage with prospects and leads and ultimately clients. And what was interesting was that first touch was like 100% custom. And it had very little to do most of the time with the end pitch. It was a mouse and whisker. It was I'm going to give like a bad example, but it was a, hey, how you doing with XYZ, or tell me about blah. And I would read these intros and it would have almost no connection to the pitch, but it kind of sounds now like they're just almost, instead of gauging interest or qualifying, they're warming up the prospect. They're starting the conversation like a person, which is a great divide between, I've got a bunch of templates, let's send them out, to, oh yeah, my messenger is contacting people. So I want to talk with you about what's there when it comes to just reaching out at a random but interesting topic for the prospect and letting that almost naturally unfold into a potential, let's talk business. I think we should put a 10-minute timer.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
While you're doing that, sales spread for a lead a day, done for you agency, quickmail.com for the outreach infrastructure you need to send like the pros.
That's right. I lost my train of thoughts now.
Hey, great, Cass. I'll catch you next week.
No, mind you, you could use a two-part campaign for a few things. Some people are using for auto warmer. Some people are using it for judging interest. And then you're now talking about like, hey, for engaging people. Here's the thing I wanted to say is like, you and I know that if you want to reach out to existing friends, you don't say like, hey, Jack, it's been a long time we haven't talked. I want to talk to you, by the way, like how things are going, and P.S. I need this from you, right? You feel played, right? No one likes that. The opposite is okay. It's like, hey, Jack, I will need this from you. By the way, it's been so long we haven't catched up. It'd be nice if we do sometimes, right?
Yeah.
That you don't feel played that much. And I think that works better. So I'm curious to hear like, how did that two-part campaign works by just like starting randomly on a different topic and
Yeah.
then just like pivoting, because that's what I had
So,
problems in the past with Mouse and
well,
Whisker.
so there's a split, Jeremy, between how we've been discussing two-part campaigns. Because by the way, that is not a new idea. I think we
Yeah.
threw it out there in 2018. Um,
Yes.
what is
Even
different?
earlier. I used it in
There you go.
2014 even.
Uh, Better than me. So what's different though, Jeremy, is like there isn't a one step then two step. It's kind of like I'm going to hire someone to have a bunch of natural conversations, and they should be really good at breaking the ice, starting a dialogue, and then pivoting. Right. So
Mm,
as opposed to a first message, second message, it's kind of like talk and chat and interact with 250 prospects in a week. And some of them are going to be dead ends, but some of them will
yeah.
say things like, it has been a challenge to get past the six-figure mark. Man, if I just, if I could find a good marketer. And then they
Mm,
would almost look for entry points. And so here's kind of like, let's unravel it, because while this is very difficult to replicate, and by the way, Jeremy, they were on the phone with SalesBread with me because in her words, I can't clone my messenger. They're amazing,
yeah.
but I've went through dozens, or maybe not dozens, but lots of them, and it's been hard. So it wouldn't be easy to just sit there. But do you think, given how outreach is not for the faint of heart or the rookie these days, it's, if you're getting double digit replies, you're an all-star, right? Given this world we're in 2025, do you see this being more of a play for outreach? And like, I'll go one step more concrete. Do you think from, a not too distant point in the future, Jeremy, touch one will go comment on one of their posts, 3-day delay, go comment on another one, 3-day delay, go ask them something about what they're really excited about, don't pitch, 3-day delay, go check, see if you can start something else, boom, boom, and just get that first, hey, yeah, I'll talk to you, and then use magic to pivot. Yeah. You see this
Mm.
happening in 2025?
Potentially, I mean, in 2025, I see that happening with AI agents. But what I'm thinking is that for the pivoting, it may actually be easier to do it on channels. So, for example, you can actually start a conversation, a casual conversation on LinkedIn, and then pivot with email by saying like something like, "Hey, by the way, you
Yes.
know what? Let me actually send you something from my work email or whatever." And they're basically, it's a bit like those, though pickup artists or whatever, like people who try to pick up girls or whatever. They always have a
The
system
next
for
step.
bringing people to a different location, all the
Mm.
time, like that bring them further into their sales process, whatever. Like it's
Mm-hmm,
probably
mm-hmm.
terrible. It shouldn't be on the podcast, but anyway, point is,
It's relevant
yeah,
psychology.
it's irrelevant. I think like if I, for example, contact you on LinkedIn, maybe you expect more professional. So that way you start maybe on WhatsApp or whatever, like a
Right.
nice little conversation. And by the way, since you need that, and then you pivot to the sort of like sales channel, and they're sort of
Yeah.
like expected, but like they're pre-warmed. That's something that I can see could actually potentially work very
Sure.
well.
So this one, it's kind of exciting, Jeremy, because there's a lot of ways you can go about it. But I'll give you one where let's imagine you decide to start on LinkedIn, and all you're going to do is it's like that awful 2017, 2016 tactic where you bought duck soup and it just visited hundreds of profiles
Yes,
for you a day, right? And then
which works super well
5% of
for
them,
recruiters.
okay. And 5% of them would visit your profile. And of those five, maybe they get the invite. And so you've already kind of seen who has a natural
Mm.
interest based on your head. And then those people get a, hey, how you doing? Like what's going on with X? And then you just let that sit and go through two back and forths. And then you say, hey, I think your email's this. I want to shoot you a recording for a webinar because you mentioned why. It might be nice. Can I send it to you? And I just wonder if that's what outreach is going to look like this year to some degree, not all the way, because it's too up in the air and not what am I lacking, Jeremy? It's lacking something. It's lacking predictability, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if there's this organic conversation starting that is what sales outreach might slowly become over the next couple of years.
But didn't we talk about that like a long time ago and it never really went that way?
Because you could get the job done with a one hitter, maybe a two hitter, right? But just think in the future with me, even including AI and a lot of the things on both sides of the
Right, right,
conversation.
right.
It just feels harder to harder to say no to, harder to ignore. Um, it feels like this may be a good way in if, let's say, you're a company with only 300 potential target accounts. You might take a
Mm,
slower approach. In fact, that
that's a
may
good
be a
one.
better term for this, a slower campaign where you do not send an invite, you do not send a cold email until you've had a little bit of interaction on another channel,
Mm-mm-mm.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter, right?
that's like a good point because I do see people finally waking up and realizing that volume is not the answer. So that may effectively, it's always like a pendulum. It just go one way and then everyone just like doing like way too much talk and actually no sales
Yes,
versus like, hey, let's just like, just do all sales and then like just go volume and stuff. And it keeps on like, you know, moving between the two.
correct.
So hopefully 2025 will be more about conversational stuff.
Unless you're selling something cheap and easy to buy, right? If you have a tool like Loom and it's $9 a month and it's for sales teams to
Yeah.
share, quick cold outreach videos, you don't need this warm up. I don't think you do.
Yeah.
It's kind of a transactional conversation. Is this helpful or not? Here's 3 months free. Go
But
for
if
it.
you're selling that, 3 million, piece of
Mm-hmm.
hardware, like for hospital and stuff like that. But then in this case,
Yeah.
isn't that like in person, Jack? Like, isn't that like more in conferences than it is like by email or by conversation on LinkedIn?
Yes, but that I want to say absolutely. And yet the companies that are going to trade shows, they want more of that. They wish there
Mm.
was a trade show that was right in their market every other Friday that they could just keep going and generate business. I think this might be a complement to that in-person high touch selling. I basically in 2025, we are not going to see the companies that have $1 million offer to a maximum total addressable market of 1,000 companies doing like spray and pray. I think that's gone.
Yeah, it's
I
over.
think what's going to like step in its place though is going to feel a lot more organic. Um, and we might see the death of a template coming up. I think the death of a template is going to happen, Jeremy.
Well, we have reword already, which automatically reword all your stuff. So,
It would
you're gonna
have to
have
be
like the
reword.
structure. You're gonna have the structure, the ideas, but the words as in template is probably not going to be there anymore. I agree with that. It's already
Maybe, but
disappearing.
like think about this. Like I did a test, and I just saw he was an investor in B2B software companies.
Hmm.
And you can kind of like look at a profile and say, all right, this is person that is getting messages all day long. This is one of the harder to reach job titles, like investor partner, whatever.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see if I could crack through. I saw the little green icon that he was on LinkedIn. I was like, I think I can send a message that will almost guarantee a reply from this person. And to do that, I went into their activity. I saw that this morning they made a post about a new seed round or a new C series
Hmm.
round that Clay just went through.
Hmm.
And I sent him a message. I said, "Are you an investor in Clay?" Question mark. I got a reply in 2 minutes. Uh, I wish, right? Like, and I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, that's funny, right? But and then I shot the whole thing by like asking too much of a it wasn't a fit and I tried to go for it, but it just made
Mm.
me think like, okay, I got n equals 1, but I got 100% reply rate. Now, what if I was just good enough to link that 2 more times, you
Or,
know?
or, or ask for, recommendation or people who would be like, if this is a very deep connection,
Right.
network.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we're
So
over the 10
we're
minutes,
over.
Jack. Do you have any more things you want to squeeze in?
I'm just going to make a prediction. If we see the death of a template or a lot more, let's call it pre-sales conversations um, that happen a lot more organically, I just want to say on the record, I called it. Especially for ones with a smaller market size. I think this is where a lot of our sales outreach might be headed.
Yeah, I think we'll probably revisit this prediction because I think that will happen as well, but with AI, basically, not with human
I would be
people.
fine with that.
Yeah.
Plug in a profile, think about what they're really excited about,
Mm.
ask a question that is unrelated to anything about stuff. Like if somebody like saw a picture of me surfing in Indonesia and they asked like, where were you, where'd you surf? Is it good for beginners? 100% reply rate. I would absolutely respond. I mean, that'd be fun. Where that would go, I might buy something from the person, 3 weeks later if it was done right.
Mm.
Anyways, let's end there. Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack.
Cool. All right, man.